The Super Media Bros podcast is a founding member of the OddPods Media Network. Black hearts and blackouts.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, you assholes.
All that and more.
You ready to make a deal with the devil?
Yeah.
Super Media Bros.
Ghost Rider, man.
I know.
Shit, dude. Like, seriously, Spirit of Vengeance specifically. Name a more underrated, underappreciated comic book movie.
We'll get there in just a few minutes.
No, I want to do it now.
Well, in that case, welcome to episode 199 of the Super Media Bros podcast. I'm Midnight Agent Raw.
I'm Special Delivery Dev.
And if you haven't guessed it by now, this is the third installment of Nick Cage November. And we are talking Ghost Rider and Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like our Cult Cinema Showdown episodes where we go front to back on both movies. This is more or less just we watched these again for the first time in a very long time. I mean, honestly, I will tell you right now, I haven't seen the second one since it was in theaters probably, like full on, like released. And I watched it on Netflix a long time ago.
Yeah, I saw it and I don't remember the exact grade, but I was in middle school. And I remember my buddy Logan Buckaloo, shout out buddy if you're listening to this, you're definitely not, but shouts out. He came up to me and he was like, bro, ask me if I saw the fucking Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. And I was like, bro, me too.
What if it was called that? Coming from Marvel Studios, the fucking Ghost Rider. Spirit of Vengeance.
See, this is why. Maybe it was a bad idea for Disney to own Marvel. Because I feel like if they didn't, we could get that.
Coming from Disney, the fucking... Wait, hold on. Coming from Disney, the Ghost Rider. Like, they just bleep it out.
No. It's those old-ass 90s VHS tapes when you heard the announcer, Disney proudly presents...
Coming to video cassette.
Yeah.
That bullshit?
Yeah.
Coming to theaters. It's just Mickey Mouse's Ghost Rider.
You just see the Ghost Rider with his fucking chain, and he goes, "Hi, I'm Ghost Rider, and you're watching Disney Channel." And you just see the fucking
flame whips it around.
Yeah, and it's made out of fire and shit.
And the little kids are getting all fucking scared and shit. They're just like, ah! They run away and shit. But look, seriously, we're here to talk about the one and only Nicolas Cage as the title character, because let's be honest, most people that came across Nick Cage in the later acting years, they expect the rage cage. They expect the crazy shit, which he's done a lot of. But let's not forget that Nick Cage has had some really great roles where he didn't rage out. This is not the place for that. This is where we want it.
No, this is exactly what you want it to be.
I guess let's go ahead and just talk about the first one. And again, it's not a deep dive, everybody. We're just casually discussing these movies and just, yeah. Like, what was your first time seeing the first one?
Okay. So you ever met that one person that their parents were like, yeah, we're not supporting Harry Potter because it's witchcraft?
Yeah.
That was my family.
I live with one that experienced that exact shit.
That was my family. And they were also that way with the Ghost Rider.
The fucking Ghost Rider?
Yeah.
We're not taking you to see the fucking Ghost Rider.
Yeah, like essentially. Dude, and here's the thing. I hadn't even mentioned the movie yet to them. But they knew. They were like, it's a movie. He's going to want to see it. So they just, nobody, not a soul, mom and dad, we're not taking you to see Ghost Rider. And
like, even if you didn't even bring it up, they're just like, we're not taking you to see the fucking Ghost Rider.
That's exactly what it was. I was bathing my fucking dog at the time. I was probably like, however old, like, what was it, 2004?
2007.
No shit.
Yeah, dude.
Okay. So I was probably like 8 or 9, some bullshit, depending on the month or whatever. So I was bathing my dog and they told me that and I was like, why not? And they were like, because it's about somebody who does a deal with the devil. And I was like, but it's Marvel. That's like Spider-Man. No, it's not like Spider-Man. I was like, I think it is, though.
The fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah. So So a couple of years later, probably like 4, I'm in like middle school, and I'm just kind of deep diving through the internet. And one of those late summer nights where everybody is asleep,
Right.
you can get away with anything. I go on Crackle. This was back when Hulu and Crackle were bootleg sites.
Lest we forget, everybody out there listening, that was a thing.
Yeah, that's how I watched the original A-Team television show, was bootleg on Hulu. I swear on everything. You're giving me the face, but I promise you that's what happened. So anyway.
No judgment.
Went on Crackle, and I saw that Ghost Rider was available. I was like, well, I never got to see it.
Speaking of Ghost Rider, there sounds like there's a fucking Ghost Rider in the background.
I know. What's up with your neighbors?
That might be a helicopter. I'm not quite sure if that's a helicopter or not, but oh my God.
Good God, is that going to make it into the cut?
I feel like we're going enough that it should.
Yeah, if not, we will add it in post just to keep the gag.
Yeah, he's not kidding. Anyway, go on with the chlorophyll.
Okay, so on Crackle, saw Ghost Rider. I was like, fuck it. Ain't nobody going to stop me right now. They're all asleep. I watched it. And of course, just like little kid me assumed, the movie was fine. Like, it wasn't this heinous act against God or anything. Like, it was just a fucking Marvel movie that was kind of edgy. That's how I watched it. That's how I experienced this, was being proven right, and that it's just a movie. What about you, though? Like, how did you see the first one?
So the first time I saw the first one was in the theater with a really good friend of mine and a couple of other people that were along for the ride. One of which was a huge Ghost Rider fan. Like, I'm talking like was not going to miss this shit for the fucking world, okay? Fucking opening night. And I remember sitting in there going, okay, they made him Texan. They made him from Texas instead of Illinois. Why is he eating jelly beans out of a martini glass and not hitting pills and slinging liquor back? And Nicolas Cage is a big fan of this character. I was thinking to myself, what the fuck happened?
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw the actual physical form of Ghost Rider and I thought, that looks pretty accurate.
Yeah.
And then I realized, as I do today, I'm looking way too hard into this. They made this to be a fucking fun, popcorn, goofy, corny action movie.
They did. I'm curious as to know why they did do the jelly bean thing. As far as Texan goes, okay, I guess, because Sam Elliott, they kind of wanted to give off that vibe and everything. I get it, but what I don't understand is, like, why is he watching fucking 1920s cartoons and chimpanzees doing karate?
But what's funny is he's totally doing the Nick Cage thing and just like, he's being like laughing at it and shit. And then he's like, with that scene where he looks up at him and he's just like talking about how he cut the Carpenters off of his music.
Yeah.
He's like, you mess with the monkeys and you cut off the Carpenters, we're going to have a serious throwdown or some shit like that. I was like, oh my God, dude.
Yeah, he was like, we're going to have a scrap or
That's
something.
right. Yeah.
No, like, that's really the part, like, popcorn fun or not. That is one that I'm like, okay, what did happen here?
Yeah, no, I get that. Because, I mean, granted, you got Roxy, the character.
Mm-hmm.
They mostly got some of these characters right. I think I was pretty pissed off that they didn't call Mephisto. They called him Mephistopheles.
Yeah.
Or Mephistopheles or whatever the fuck.
It was something, yeah.
Which I get that that's what that character's based on, like that actual thing. But dude, it's Marvel.
Right. That's like making it to where Thor has to wear the gloves and the belt in order to pick up Mjolnir.
I guess like that was me being really nitpicky about it because again, looking at it years later, like we're talking about now, I didn't mind it years later. Like at the time I was like, oh my God, what the fuck happened? Like I enjoyed the movie, but I didn't understand why they kind of butchered it at the same time. Like not too bad. Like I noticed some, the similarities with the comics and shit where they switched some things around. How in the comics, it wasn't his actual dad that got fucking cancer. It was his adoptive stepfather that got the cancer and all this other shit. And I said, okay, well, I get they're mowing through that to condense the story correctly. But as far as the action goes, I couldn't complain about it one bit. The look of the character was spot on.
Oh, yeah. Dude, and then just the idea of having him in an actual prison cell with all of those people.
And then you get one of your first rage cage moments, or not one of the first, but like I remember whenever he fucking changes for the first time and he's just doing that like where the camera's like circling around him and he's just like laughing and he's just like, I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck? You know, but at the same time, it does work because like you really think, oh my God, he maybe actually like, wouldn't you kind of lose your shit and go kind of maybe crazy?
Absolutely.
So yeah, but the sequence in the jail cell that you're talking about, whenever he's like, you know, freaking out, like doesn't want anybody touching him because he didn't want to change again, and he fucking explodes them out everywhere. Yeah, and he melts the fucking, and he looks at the one kid, you innocent. I was like, sweet.
Dude, and that's the thing, like everything about that scene in particular, I was like, thank you. This was exactly what we wanted, and this was peak of what we wanted from this particular movie. The second one, I think, did everything perfectly, but I'm saying, like, as far as this in particular incarnation with this screenplay, that right there, you found, like, a moment of potential and you utilized it.
Right. And, you know, I would be crazy to say that Nicolas Cage is probably the only actor that can play. He's not the only actor that can play Johnny Blaze or Ghost Rider, but for the time, I wouldn't have really thought of anybody else, because I remember whenever he got cast, I was like, oh my God, that's perfect.
Dude, even today, I'm thinking back, and because now that we are later down the line, there's always that one guy that, Robert Pattinson, for example, at the time of Twilight, we wouldn't have casted him in anything.
No.
But now it's like, oh, dude, he could have played this, he could have played that. I'm still thinking back, I can't think of anybody from then that could have done the character the way Nick Cage did it.
Right. And it needed to be done that way.
Right.
So, but as far as the first movie goes, dude, like, what were some of your favorite bits about it? Like, we'll probably wind up putting a pin in the conversation on the first one and move to the second one here in a little bit. But like, what were some of your favorite parts of that one? Like, memorable.
Okay. So, whenever old boy goes into the bar scene,
You talking about when Blackheart rolls up in the bar?
And everybody turns blue at the touch of him and everything. That was sick. Anything with Sam Elliott, I'm always gonna enjoy.
The fact that we got old Sam Elliott as the caretaker, but then turns right the fuck around, or I think beforehand, he played Thunderbolt Ross in Ang Lee's Hulk.
Yep. Dude, I really enjoyed any moment there. The final sequence where Johnny takes the gun and all that shit.
Yeah.
Like, all of that was super cool. The one shot, and everybody who has seen this movie, they know the helicopter chase scene
where he jumps down the or rides down the building and whips the chain into it. That's one of my favorite shots in the movie. I was telling Alex that last night when we were watching it. I was like, I fucking love this shot so much. It's so cool looking.
And that's the thing too, is like, whenever my parents said that I couldn't watch it, I thought back to that shot in the trailer. I was like, well, I didn't say anything about this, but now that you mention it, that looks fucking rad.
It really does. Here's the other thing. So when you talked about Sam Elliott earlier, you know that motherfucker in that movie, there's a shot of him where he gets punched down and he's like laying on the ground. I think he's surrounded by like Blackheart, all those guys, and he's looking up, and he's got his trademark mustache in his hair, like his long white hair, but he's got all the stubble. That shot where he's laying on the ground, I was like, dude, is this whole man's head just like a big white fuzzball? Like, that's what it looked like. I was like, this motherfucker looks like an old-ass cotton swab. Like, he's just laying there and shit. I'm like, God damn. What the fuck? It was funny because it took me out of the moment. Mm-hmm. Like, it was just like, that's my brain. That's how it works. I look at that and I'm like, oh, what the hell happened here? Oh, shave this man, please.
No, man, though, like, to me, the cinematography wasn't bad either. Other things that stick out in my mind was seeing an emo fat Amy.
It sure the fuck was. Holy shit, that's Rebel Wilson.
Yep. Don't ever question me about emo broads.
I didn't question you about it. I was just like, holy shit. Because at first I looked at her and I was like, it can't be. And I think, wow, this is old.
Yeah. Like, was this her first cameo? I don't know.
Dude, that's not even a cameo. That's just a bit part. She didn't even have a name. She was just called Girl in Alley.
Yeah, like, was that her first feature film? Do we know?
No, her first role was in Fat Pizza.
Fat Pizza.
And then World Record Pizza. But yeah, as far as an American movie is concerned, Ghost Rider was her first role.
Okay. I am an unintentional genius. Look at me go. But no, that and then I can't remember, is it the final shot or one of the two Ghost Riders riding off into the moonlight?
It has to be the final shot, but there's another shot where they're actually riding to where he's supposed to be going, where the caretaker is on the horse when the horse just fucking oh my God, what a shot.
Dude.
And then the music.
That's what I'm saying. Like, dude.
It almost felt like a Western.
Exactly. That's what the whole movie felt like, was a modern, edgy black Western.
Right. No, like, no bullshit, dude. And it's not like me sitting here like, oh my God, yeah, that's right. It's like, I've always like low key thought that about this movie.
Yeah. Like a black metal Western.
Yeah.
That's the genre. And
fuck yeah, man.
That's the thing. Like, okay, I think the second one is far superior.
Oh, me too.
In every way.
Yeah, same. There's a lot of people out there that are probably be like, what the fuck are you two on?
Yeah, I know, but yeah, like I fucking loved it. But the first one, to me, is still pretty slept on. Like, it had its questionable moments that we already discussed. But at the same time, for what it is, you can tell that they put real thought into it. Like, it wasn't like, oh, script, just get this done in one shot. It wasn't like a lot of the bullshit we usually watch where these fuckers are like, oh, we only can afford to do one take of every scene, so make it good. I mean, granted, like we were talking before we started rolling, like before Nicolas Cage had come on, the movie only had a $65 million budget. And then when Nick Cage came on, not only did he demand a bigger pay cut, which of course it's fucking Nick Cage. Right. Secondly, he's a huge fan of this character and was like, the character needs to look photorealistic on screen, first of all. Second off, the producers and whoever else was in charge of this shit were like, well, we're going to make a fucking scan of your actual skull, and that's what we're going to map onto this character. So when you see the skull in the first movie, that's a 3D image of Nick Cage's actual skull. And you can tell, like, if you know that, you can look at the bone structure and you know that's him. Yeah, it was fantastic. And you know what else is fantastic that nobody talks about? How good the teenagers look to their adult counterparts.
Yes, they really did. Like, and it's crazy because especially Eva Mendes's counterpart looked just like a younger version of her.
Dude, it was scary. I was rewatching it this morning because, dude, when you're a little kid, all you got to do is like have a couple of similar little structures in the face and, oh yeah, that looks like that person. No. 25-year-old me still says that looks just like her.
Same. And even younger Nick Cage, dude.
Dude, he was so good. God.
But yeah, I really about the first movie, and we'll probably put a pin in it here. Like I enjoyed the villains. Like I enjoyed everything about the action pieces for what they were. The fact that they made the Ghost Rider itself look like a bona fide badass, but still kind of vulnerable to some degree because every hero kind of needs that obstacle to overcome. Because I don't like it's the reason that I'm not, and well, it's the reason that I probably am not a bigger fan of Superman because I think he's too powerful. But I have come to appreciate him in more recent years.
Yeah, like I love Superman for what he stands for.
Right.
Not so much his physical like attributes and things of that nature. Like it's just the symbol of him. Right.
And I always, try to tell people, yes, I understand that the idea behind Superman is, yeah, of course he's too powerful. And I didn't like him for many years for that reason. But at the same time, I do also understand that it isn't just that. It's the fact that this man has that power and uses it for good. Like he's stronger than he lets himself be. And that speaks to the actual hero and good that he is.
Right.
Whereas Ghost Rider is kind of that anti-hero bad motherfucker that sometimes uses his shit for good. He doesn't necessarily have control over like who he goes after. If you're around the spirit of vengeance and you've done something terrible, it doesn't matter. You may be jerked off in private somewhere. He's gonna know about it.
The only one who can get away from it, to my knowledge, I know there's going to be that one guy that listens to this. Well, actually, there was also this person and that person. The only one that I can think of is Frank Castle.
Right.
Because the only reason why Ghost Rider has no effect on him with the penance stare is because Frank Castle genuinely doesn't see the wrong in what he does.
No, it's right. He does. Yeah, he does not have a guilty conscience about the shit he does.
So he's basically impervious to that shit.
Right. But God, yeah, what a movie though. Like honestly, with the casting of Nick Cage and the rest of the cast. What a first movie. It's not terrible. So
No, not at all. Like, dude, okay. It's a little dated, but for the time period, it's still like...
Yeah, it's definitely that mid 2000s. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
How it's very tropey with the action. It's very tropey with the comic one-liners and this and that. The effects.
I was going to say the color palette is very glossy.
Yeah, it's very pristine and it's almost too bright for what it is.
I would describe it as porcelain.
Yeah, it's clean.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we could probably leave it right there. I think it's a fantastic movie for what it is. It's not the greatest thing, but it's not the worst.
Correct.
And we're going to take a short break and be right back after this. Think your holiday spread is good? It's time to give thanks to the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0, or as I like to call it, the perfect package for your package. Inside, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, the Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your goodies. Think of it as a cornucopia for your balls. The Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. It also gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. Plus, it's waterproof. The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker to chop up your worst weeds up top in your nose and ears. This ear and nose hair trimmer uses a 9,000 RPM motor power 360-degree rotary dual blade system to provide proprietary skin-safe technology, which helps to prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. Don't forget about Manscaped's liquid formulations. The Crop Preserver ball deodorant and Crop Reviver toner spray. It's like the pumpkin pie and ice cream after Thanksgiving dinner. You can't live without it. Your balls will be as juicy as a Thanksgiving turkey with these formulations. For the gifters out there, Manscaped is sealing the deal with 2 free gifts from their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Gifting Manscaped is the ultimate hack to becoming the favorite family member. Manscaped has been busy and just launched their refined body wash and 2-in-1 shampoo plus conditioner. Both feature the Manscaped signature scent and will help you unlock your confidence this year. Your boys and body will be oh so fresh and clean when you start off your self-care routine with the ultimate body wash, shampoo, and conditioner. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code SUPER at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with our code SUPER at manscaped.com. Be thankful this holiday season for the best gift of all from Manscaped. Your balls will thank you.
Are you strung out on streaming?
Did Netflix and chill turn into boring and ill?
Well, fear not, neighbor, we got what you need.
That's right, your local video store is here to save the day.
We got all the tapes and laserdiscs you never knew you wanted.
That's right, and thanks to modern technology and a 56 kilobyte DSL line, we are able to make film recommendations via the information superhighway, the internet.
Yes, each month we pick a random caller seeking help from our trained staff to find a film that meets their search criteria, such as
Horror films directed by a woman with no nudity. Killer doll movies not made by Charles Band.
Even Easter-themed horror films and children with magic. We can help you find what you're looking for.
Can you help me find Jesus?
No, but we can find you religious films not featuring Jesus.
So tune in each week and we'll help you find what it is you're looking for. Find us where all popular podcasts are found, even live recorded video from our store.
Support your local video store and earn a free bag of popcorn when you sign up for a Videorama membership.
Welcome to Videorama.
Hey, you there. We've got a question for you. Are you tired of clickbait stories and the loudest voices driving discussions in culture and entertainment?
If so, I'm Dylan.
I'm Kendall.
And I'm Corey. And we host the podcast From the Middle. We're middle-class guys living in the middle of America, in the middle chapters of our lives with points of view somewhere in the middle.
We take a more reasonable and centrist approach in our discussions covering genres like comedy, culture, entertainment, and interviews. with really interesting folks like business owners, comic creators, doctors, news anchors, New York Times best-selling illustrators, professional stand-up comics, and more. We really value a relaxed and conversational podcast, one that we hope is so fun and laid back, you'll forget you're not actually hanging out with us.
So search at From the Mid Pod, just like it sounds, or check us out everywhere you can find podcasts.
Let's get into Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, because this is the movie that Devin and I both feel is superior to the first one, and we're here to tell you all the reasons why. At least for me, the first thing that I ever noticed was, holy shit, it's gritty.
Yes.
This character is supposed to be gritty. The fucking skull is darker because it's on fire. The jacket is bubbling and singed and torched, and the movement of Ghost Rider when Johnny Blaze turns into him is very kind of twitchy, and it's like a horror villain.
That's exactly how it is. Like, the first time he fully shifts into the Ghost Rider, the camera doesn't immediately show you him. It's like the jacket, the fist, the chain, everything, and then he turns his head. They treated him like a horror villain.
Which you should. I mean, that's kind of how Spawn is in a way. Like, if you watch the old HBO series.
Oh my God, so good.
It really is. And like, to me, that's how characters like Ghost Rider and Spawn and things like that, they should be treated as such. Like, let him be the hero he is. If you want to write him as a hero, or if you want to write him as an anti-hero, but definitely treat him as that figure in the shadows that you get glimpses of and you don't want to fuck with, because he's going to fucking wreck you.
But then at the same time, they introduced him like that. But here's the thing. They showed him every chance that they could. If you are a teenage boy that just wants to see the Ghost Rider do shit, bro, you get it. You know, like, you get your money shots tenfold.
Yeah, and this is the same team that brought you Crank. And I knew it was the same team, just based on the cinematography and the shutter speed on the camera.
Oh, I've got something to say about that.
Go ahead, say it now.
I don't know, man. That's a hot take.
Go ahead.
This movie, Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, walked so that Mad Max Fury Road could run. Look at the editing, the shutter, that sort of like fishbowl style of cinematography, the close-ups, everything. Especially in that final chase scene, you cannot tell me that George Miller wasn't at least somewhat inspired. And if he wasn't, this is something that the editing team went and looked at, or something. I'm not convinced. This played a role in Fury Road.
Yeah, I have to agree there. I have to hard agree with you there. And again, maybe some people out there think that's the super hottest take that they've ever heard. Also, I'm sure there's people out there listening that are like, holy shit, he's right.
Yeah, and look, Mad Max Fury Road is one of my favorite action movies of all time.
Same here.
So I'm not by any means saying like, oh, Spirit of Vengeance is of the same quality. No. I'm just saying, like, the action editing and whatnot, very eerily similar.
There's a quote that I heard a long time ago, and it was applied to music. I think the same thing can be said here. It said that good composers borrow, but great composers steal. I really feel like George Miller has his own style. There's no question about that whatsoever. But I really do feel like there has to have been some kind of influence there. And I don't even know if I'm doing it correctly, but the whole 6 degrees or whatever, however many, 450 degrees in the oven of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Where, sure, George Miller was at one point supposed to do a Justice League movie.
Correct.
Nicolas Cage was supposed to play Superman at one point. Do you think that George Miller had his eye on old cagey boy there and was like, this motherfucker went and did Ghost Rider?
Maybe.
Now I got to make a movie with Mad Max just a few years later.
Dude, but to me, like, okay, no movie is perfect.
No.
And the screenplay here, it's pretty one-dimensional. We're not going to sit here and say this is Shakespeare. It's trashy as fuck, but you know what you're getting into. You look at Ghost Rider. This is designed for teenage boys or really, like, edgy guys.
Especially the pissing fire. That was like one of the best Marvel dick jokes I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And also, can we talk about real fast, because I will forget, can we talk about Johnny Wentworth as Blackout? That motherfucker, before he turned full Blackout, looked just like a young Kurt Russell.
Dude, he did.
And he gets so fucking butthurt in the car when Danny like fucks with him from the back seat. He just turns around and I'm like, all right, butthurt Russell, what the fuck?
He just out of nowhere, he goes, did we say you could talk?
What? Bruh, he just turns around and looks at the little kid, we could say you could talk, and then the whole, like, the little bastard like puts his seatbelt on and they just flip the car. And that motherfucker, I started laughing too because the son of a bitch is upside down. And granted, like, y'all keep in mind, I haven't seen this movie in probably 8-9 years, roughly. It's been a while. So I said, bruh, if this was a GTA game, that car would have done exploded by now because it just rolled upside down. Nothing really happened. And so they start crawling out, and I see the fire. I'm like, oh, there it goes. Oh my God, it's going to blow up. And then the big dude in the car, me and Jeff were joking about this because I thought it was funny. Like, he gets out the car, and he's like, man, help me, I'm trapped in here. He's like, I told you to stop eating the Twinkies. And I said, Devin, that's you leaving my ass in the fucking car. And then they just run down the hill, and you just hear, that motherfucker just blue sky fucking high. And they're just looking at it from under the bridge, and just like, huh. And they just keep going.
Yeah. Just minding their own business.
Oh, God. I'm sorry for that derail, but goddamn. Yeah, Butthurt Russell turns into the villain of this movie, Blackout. And I thought his whole thing was fucking cool as shit.
Oh, yeah, man. Like I said earlier, name a more slept on comic book movie.
Punisher Warzone is my pick if we're going to go that far.
I respect it, but I would say this is more underrated.
I agree. Like, and a couple of things to point out. This movie, Punisher Warzone and Elektra were the only 3 movies to actually get released under the Marvel Knights banner because they were trying to do that for their darker films. Because of the Marvel Knights comic line was more geared toward like the 16, 17-year-olds and older. It was meant for a more like teen, mature audience that could handle these types of like violent stories and more adult themed stories. And Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance also, like, because I had to point this out to you, it is absolutely a sequel, but it's a standalone sequel. And I can agree that this probably got confused for a reboot because, like, I even pointed out to you, like, is Evil Dead in continuity? Like, all 3 of them are pretty in continuity, but how many times did we have to see, like, the origins of all these characters get filmed differently? But the key reason for those being that they didn't own the rights to some of the footage at the time. However, Sony fucking owned this shit at the time, so they could have done it.
I think it's because they knew that the first one wasn't as well received. So they were like, let's do a soft reboot.
Right. Like, I can call it I'll go with a soft reboot.
I always have. I've always assumed that this is a reboot.
Yeah, just because, like, the character doesn't necessarily mention anybody from the first movie, at least I don't think, other than his father.
Right, and that's just his origin. That's
correct.
Not...
I mean, fuck, even Mephisto was played by a different actor altogether, and it makes me laugh. This motherfucker plays Dumbledore's brother in fucking Harry Potter. So it's full circle that your parents wouldn't take you to see the fucking Ghost Rider because the fucking Harry Potter was in that motherfucker.
Yeah, and that's another one they didn't let me watch. They did not let me watch Harry Potter.
Well, guess what? You got 2 for 1 in this motherfucker.
I know, right?
Yeah, you got Dumbledore's brother. Hold on. You got Dumbledore's brother. You got Idris Elba. You got Nick fucking Cage, and then you got the Highlander himself playing Hakushi in this bitch. That's for all you old school WWF fans that remember Hakushi with the fucking face paint all over his body. That's what Christopher Lambert looks like in this with his bald ass head with his little fucking like etches all over his face. He plays Methodius in this movie, but goddamn, it's Hakushi.
Yeah, he come in there looking like fucking A-Train whenever he got rebooted.
Bruh, fucking Tensai.
Lord Tensai.
Ugh. Oof. Meanwhile, Nick Cage is what Bret Hitman Hart should have fucking been, like the bad motherfucker with the leather jacket and the fucking sunglasses and shit. Like, I know we're going off on a wrestling tangent here, but goddamn, Nick Cage was supposed to play the title character of the wrestler at one point. So we're not far off.
No, not really.
Any fucking way. I still fucking laugh because I forgot Christopher Lambert was in this.
Yeah.
And you hear him talk and you're just like, oh my God, Lord Raiden? Oh, fucking hell, dude. But I remember you telling me how you really enjoyed the Nadia, the female lead character in this one, like a lot more
Yeah.
Obviously, Roxanne was like the first movie was cookie cutter. Let's just get that point across.
Yeah.
The first movie was cookie cutter. This one absolutely played on that edge, like we were talking about earlier with the Marvel Knights thing. Like the tonal shift, like the female lead is more goth based. The story is very like the setting of the story is just completely not bleak, but there's no color.
Yeah, like it's almost like a modern. Okay, if the first one was a modern black metal western, this was a modern gothic medieval biker shit.
It took place. The whole movie was filmed in a rock quarry.
Yeah,
like I'm joking, obviously, but
it felt like it.
Yeah, if you watch this, you're waiting on somebody to yank the tail of the bird and the Flintstone. Like you're off work, you know, you're waiting on the fucking Flintstone scene to start, and you're just like, oh wait, no, that's Johnny Blaze just like fucking riding, you know.
Fucking Nick Cage is wearing leather. Idris Elba is wearing leather. The mom is wearing leather. The little boy is wearing leather. This is just like a death metal movie without the music.
True enough, and at some points, like you hear the metal kick in.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like as far as it being a musical.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like visually speaking, and that scene where he takes that entire big ass like crane looking fucking thing. And just, oh, dude, I lost my shit. Not in a bad way, but just I was like, holy fuck, this is like kicking ass and taking names. Johnny Blaze right here,
dude. Like I said with the first one in the prison scene, they saw potential and they utilized it.
Yeah.
Like I said, no perfect movie, but for what this was trying to be, this was perfect. Really, the only like major nitpick that I can even think of, and it's not even a major nitpick, it is just a nitpick. Whenever he turns back into Johnny Blaze after the first transformation and he wakes up in the hospital, there's a little continuity error where his jacket is not singed. At first, we made the joke, you and I, where, oh, it's kind of like Hulk's pants. They shrink back down after.
Right.
But then later on, whenever he changes back to Johnny Blaze a second time, it is singed in his human form.
Yeah.
So that was a continuity error, but it's not a make or break for the movie.
No, not at all. You want to hear another kind of funny thing about this movie that I just realized? This movie had half the budget of the first one.
And it looks twice as good.
Yeah.
Oh, you want another little tidbit?
Absolutely. Always.
Okay. So we were talking about how slept on this movie is.
Absolutely.
One critic said that the second movie made the first one look like The Dark Knight. You want to know what's ironic about that?
Oh, I know what's ironic about that, but tell everybody else that's listening what's ironic about that.
The guy that wrote the screenplay to this also wrote The Dark Knight.
David S. Goyer.
So, yeah.
Also, the person that directed the first Ghost Rider also directed the 2003 Daredevil.
No shit. You know what?
Yeah, Mark Steven Johnson.
You know what? Okay. I can see it now. Both got director's cuts that added a little bit more to it.
Yeah, exactly.
But was still... Well, Daredevil was less cookie cutter, by all means.
Well, yeah, even the PG-13 cut.
But still.
But here, okay, so here's the thing. The Mark Neveldine and Brian Taylor, they're the guys that did Crank, obviously, and they did High Voltage, its sequel, because they were also the cinematographers, which, you know, again, gave it that look. And that's the thing about what they do. They shoot everything in high definition. They do a lot of roller dolly stuff, and that's, you know, they actually wear rollerblades while they're shooting.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Like if this goes to tell you just how much they like what they do, which is crazy because the last thing they did was this movie. They haven't done they haven't done anything since.
It's a damn shame.
Bro, for whenever they did Crank High Voltage, they shot over 279 hours of footage in 31 days. That's a lot of fucking footage, man.
Yeah, it is.
Cuz I just want to know how much is left on the cutting room floor of this sequel, because I really feel like they had because we talked about this. It was a hard PG-13.
Yeah.
Because there's really no need to make a Ghost Rider film an R-rated movie unless you're going to add a ton of obscenity and blood.
But even with the blood, because it's all fire-based, all of the wound would be like singed anyway.
Yeah, you'd cauterize every wound.
Yeah, so really they found themselves in a really sweet spot where they could be as graphic as humanly possible.
Like covered up.
Yeah. It's almost genius.
Yeah, I really can't say enough good things about the sequel, and just watching it later, and even at the time when I first watched it, I was like, God, this is better than the first one. And it's one of those things where you want to go back and see if your opinion still holds up.
Yeah, dude. When you said we were going to watch this, I was terrified. Because I had such a great time watching it the first time.
You didn't want to ruin your nostalgia of it.
Yeah, and I go back and I'm like, hey, yo, this is on HBO Max right now? I'm about to stream this like every couple of months.
Yo, this shit fire.
Yeah.
Literally.
Dude, you know what? I'm going to say it. This movie fucking goated. This is like, okay, so there are like, as of right now, what, 25 MCU movies?
Yeah.
So with that in mind, the Batman movies, the Superman movies, all this shit, I would say this is in the top 50.
Oh, at least, absolutely.
I would say that. I think that's fair.
Oh, I think so too. I mean, and okay, you say that, and now tell me if you think I am wrong. And hell, if anybody out there listening thinks I'm wrong about this, just let me know.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about how there are films that come out that later on they achieve cult film status, or they achieve a big cult following. You have movies that come out that are almost instantaneously cult classics, like Willy's Wonderland, like we just covered.
Right.
Like that came out and it was immediately like, that is a fucking midnight movie.
Yeah.
Of the two, Spirit of Vengeance feels like the cult film out of this duology. It feels like the one that would have like that like you said earlier, it's very underappreciated, but the people that love it fucking love it.
Dude, absolutely. Because look, like I said before, this is not Shakespeare. I understand that you don't have the layers, the depth of the other top 50 comic book movies. I completely understand that. But it is a 1 hour and 35 minutes. There's no like filler. There's nothing that feels like, you could have cut that out. There is nothing that made you particularly cringe in a bad way. It was all self-aware. Just, here's the plot. Go, 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 go.
Yeah, especially like some of the shots where he's riding real fast, face first, like towards the camera, and he's changing and he's losing his shit. Like there's shots like that where I'm like, God, that's perfect for this character. It's perfect for Nick Cage being this character. It's got just enough of the cheese factor, but not over the top. Like not too over the top. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Like, dude, to me, it's like they knew that what you wanted was what you wanted. And they gave you that.
Yeah. Yeah, like we were talking about this earlier before we started recording, like, it's fucking Ghost Rider. What were you expecting?
Right! Like, it's like with Venom or Hellboy. Like, what do you want? Why do these movies get bad reviews when they are, okay, not as good as some of the comics, obviously, but, dude, look at these characters. Do you really want a poignant, beautifully told story? Or do you just want to see these characters come to life and do shit?
It's like I mentioned with Freddy vs. Jason and Alien vs. Predator. Do you want to see fucking story about these, or do you come to see the title characters whoop the fuck out of each other?
Exactly.
Like, here's how okay, and people probably shit on me for this. The way that I look at cinematic versions of these characters, I don't look at it as, oh, I'm going to get exactly as the comics are going to be. I'm getting a different Earth. I'm getting a totally new format. This is a visual comic book that is by a new writer, a new story. That's how I look at it. I look at this character and I'm thinking, okay. I mean, I mentioned they made him from Texas and he's from Illinois, but it lends itself to what you said, how it's a black metal Western.
Exactly.
And it's like, okay, I get it. And that's where that mindset goes, where I'm like, I have to stop like thinking in terms of this is not like the comics. This is its own like continuity.
Dude, just like with The Punisher, his original comic book origin, he wanted to be a priest, but he couldn't go through with it because he felt like he was incapable of forgiving people, which I always loved because it sets the tone of like, Frank Castle is a damaged, angry man deep down inside, and all he really needs is that one push. It was always there.
Right.
And any other live action incarnation of it, you never see that.
No.
You don't even see it in the rebooted comics, to my knowledge. So there we go. A different world, different version.
And that's how I think both of these movies ought to be viewed. I still enjoy them. And the biggest takeaway I think that Dev and I can both give you guys, don't look at these like Devin said as Shakespeare. Just come to these movies with a bucket of fucking popcorn, some of your friends around, and just have a blast watching the shit.
Yeah, dude. Particularly for Spirit of Vengeance, get a little tipsy if you have to.
Oh, absolutely. Nick Cage does in that motherfucker, finally.
Yeah, that was the first thing that we talked about was, look at him in a dark, brooding room, popping pills, drinking bourbon.
That's the Johnny Blaze I know.
Yeah, like, there we go.
Yeah. I think that might be about all I got to say about these, man.
Yeah, perfect timing, too, because AEW Dynamite's about to come on.
Which, yeah, starting next year, you guys are going to get some more pro wrestling chats on here. Whether you want to hear it or not, we are here to fucking do it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't care if you don't want to hear it. I want to talk about it.
You going to hear about it. You going to get got. You going. Visit supermediabrospodcast.com to listen to past, present, and future episodes. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on social media. Visit oddpodsmedia.com to check out all the other shows on the OddPods Media Network. Go buy some merch from us.
Please.
We promise it will not make your skull flammable.
Unless you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, you could have the magical flaming skull if you'd like, but that's only if you buy the Raglan tee.
Yes.
Christmas time is coming up. Why don't you buy a hoodie?
Yeah.
Buy something to keep your ass warm.
Yeah, man.
Be as hot as Johnny Blaze.
Shit.
Literally and figuratively. I love that shit, cuz.
No. You got to do it right.
All right.
It's shit, cuz.
I
bet.
Yeah. Leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, GoodPods, or Podchaser. In fact, on GoodPods and Podchaser, you can leave ratings and reviews for individual episodes. Coming up next week, we are going to finish out Nick Cage November with Mandy versus Drive Angry. Exactly.
This makes me so happy. Drive Angry, another one from my middle school days. One of my favorite guilty pleasure movies.
And Mandy being one of my all-time favorite movies, period.
Oh, shit.
Because Panos Cosmatos he's only 2 films deep, but that motherfucker's dad made Tombstone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We'll talk about all that shit next week, but my God, like, I feel like these are probably 2 of Nick Cage's absolute wildest films. I don't give a fuck what anybody says, like, in 2 different ways. Like, they both have the same energy, but they bring it differently. And I think that's what makes these a perfect matchup for each other.
Yeah, because Drive Angry, he was very subtle.
Mandy, he was rightfully and fucking raged. And again, we're going to get into those 2 next week, but goddamn, just strap yourselves in. We're going to pull all the stops out for that one because fuck, I love these movies so much.
Oh my God.
Thank you all so very, very much for listening. This has been episode 199, Ghost Rider and Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. Until next week, I've been Midnight Agent Raw.
And I'm Special Delivery Dev.
Shades on.
We're off.